Alright, hopefully all is well with all of you and with my OBS, which I only just a few minutes ago installed the new version of. Didn't have any fish, not fission. Didn't have any fish, so I made breaded chicken and chips for dinner. I've been eating sandwiches for all meals for the past couple days. Because I bought a bunch of stuff for making sandwiches, and if I don't eat it, it goes bad. Eventually. So we left off. I'm fairly certain we are like I was a little wishy-washy on it before. I'm pretty sure we finished this today. Like we're far enough in that I'm sure there aren't going to be that many more twists and turns. We're all set to finish this today. Right, so we had Ashley Grayton up on the stand. It was revealed that his last name is actually Milverton. And we just presented the case notes saying that he does have a relation to the other case, because Mason Milverton is his something. His brother, maybe. I know I'm famous for saying that I'm going to complete a game when I'm nowhere near the end, but it seems quite likely here. Tell me, why did you try to hide your former name from the court?
Because I haven't gone by that name for years. It means nothing to me.
No, I don't think that's the real explanation at all. The truth is, you had a reason to hide that name. That's the theme music.
Explain yourself, please, counsel.
I have here the notes from the omnibus case, my lord. And as we all know, the victim, the man who we now understand to have been negotiating with McGilded...
Yes, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
That's right, only Mason wasn't his surname at all. It was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton.
Milverton? Do you mean to say, saints alive?
Mr. Ashley Milverton, is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father?
Ugh! I don't...
As I believe I mentioned earlier, your family history will have been thoroughly checked when you join the civil service. And it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records. Grr. The truth is, you have been illegally acquiring highly confidential government information and selling it on to McGilded in collaboration with your father. Ugh. We got him. He's dizzy. He's staggered. He's Elden Ringed. The new facts and evidence unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness all come together to reveal the truth.
The truth, you say?
That you collaborated with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGilded.
By dint of this music box, you mean, counsel?
Yes. Stealing information being sent in secret government communications and selling it on to McGilded. I feel like we have done very little to prove that that's the case. to go like, this music box has two sides, therefore, spy. Mr. Graydon concocted this elaborate scheme using two music box discs to encode the information as presumably a safety measure against the information falling into the wrong hands.
And a very effective one. I shouldn't have given the scheme any credence whatsoever.
But the deal with McGilded went sour, and the brickmaker met his end. Yes, but before he was arrested, McGilded managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbroker. Then, having learnt of the situation, you appeared at Windibank's 2 days ago, in an attempt to recover the 2 articles McGilded had placed in pawn there.
But that attempt failed.
One of the discs was seized by the police, and the other you never found. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the Skulkin brothers and broke into the pawnbrokery. Yeah, exactly. They're like, you see, when you cross your eyes, and then they, like, not just 20 minutes once, 20 minutes, like, 4 times. And then, yeah, take the giant leap to... This music box only plays one note and has another side. Therefore, it's Morse code. Therefore, it's full of government secrets. You are under arrest for high treason. This time, determined to recover the second disc.
Are you suggesting that the second disc was inside the music box? We never knew enough about that.
On the night that Mr. Windibank was killed. I don't understand. Oh! The intruder to the pawnbrokery touched one item and one item alone, the music box.
As rather ingeniously demonstrated using the 2 prints from the security camera. Indeed.
So, the question that naturally begs answering is this: why was only that one article disturbed? The answer is obvious, because it contained the second disc, which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since, if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of high treason. Proof with very small quotation marks around it. Well, Mr. Graydon, do you deny that all of this actually began on that fateful night 2 months ago?
I refuse to accept any of this nonsense.
I like, instead of like giving him the access to a defense lawyer as he legally has the right to, we're just all giving him mean looks. That's proper court procedure. Sir, there appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket.
What?
Oh! 2 nights ago, we know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Windibank's pawnbrokery. One took the life of the pawnbroker himself. One struck the pouch around Mr. Sholmes's waist. And the final bullet struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm you seem to be trying to hide. It's a bullet wound, isn't it? See, this is better proof. He's got you now, me old China.
Time to quit and croak, I reckon. Don't acknowledge my presence there under any circumstances whatsoever. Those were my terms, remember, and I paid you handsomely to comply. Clearly I was a fool to think I could trust some common backslum thieves. Fine, I admit it. I was there in Windibanks that night. I paid this pair 10 guineas to accompany me, and as you've noticed, I sustained an injury in the course of my adventures.
Not much of a breakdown.
But that is all. I admit to nothing more. Stealing government secrets, negotiating with Mr. McGilded. I dance at your accusations. As God is my witness, I'm sure I recall nothing of the sort.
It's not going to go down without a fight. How many pence in a guinea? Probably like 100. I don't actually know. I also don't know if guineas are real. Nevertheless, the defense has now established a crucial fact. Which is? Well, we know that one bullet was fired from each of the 2 firearms we have in evidence. The bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun hit the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the bullet from Mr. Windibank's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Graydon on the arm. I'm not sure that we know either of those things for certain. Indeed it must. We can rule out the possibility that the man shot himself. Someone else could have taken his gun and shooting him with it. Shootin'? Shootin'. Shooted. Have will shoot and nang. And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Windibank was shot by a 3rd gun, which can only have been fired by the 3rd intruder. That is so untrue. Someone else could have shot him and then handed the gun to that guy who left with it. Goodness! That's right, Mr. Graydon.
Grr.
The only person who could possibly have shot Mr. Windibank that night is you! This is, like, surprisingly silly. This is way too big of a leap. Like, I mean, in a real court, it wouldn't work.
You little upstart. You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here.
What? What's that supposed to mean? He could claim that I had a gun. Right? He was there. He could be like,
I saw you. You shot Mr. Windibanks, and then you ran away with your gun. Yes, as you rightly say, I was there at the pawnbroker's. I did my best to hide the fact, naturally. I had no intention of ruining the distinguished career I'd built for myself at the communications station.
Windibank tried to shoot himself, missed, stole Graydon's gun, shot himself in the back.
But did the thought never cross your mind? Did you never consider the possibility?
What do you mean? What thought? What possibility?
The possibility that if I was there at the scene, I may have witnessed the crucial moment. You see, this makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client.
What? Yeah, or that. That also works. That it can be like, yes, there was a 3rd gun and she had it. She used it to shoot him. Are you suggesting?
I saw it all. I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed the gun at that poor defenseless pawnbroker and shot him.
You... What? That's not the whole truth. If you didn't say it before, then that's shenanigans. Shenanigans is perjury.
Well, it would seem we are finally entering the last act of this theatrical trial.
Mr. Graydon.
Yes?
I trust you are fully aware of the implications here. Because of the implications. If it is shown that your claim is false, you will have incriminated yourself as the killer.
Oh, I understand fully.
I must ask you to give your formal testimony once more. You will explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim.
Nothing would give me greater pleasure.
The moment of the shooting.
While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood spatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape.
Yeah, that all checks out. She is guilty.
Good gracious! This is quite extraordinary testimony. You claim, sir, You claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger. Order! Order! It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But neither is it my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. So you see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation.
The truth? Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. It wasn't my intent. Yeah, his intention was to take a nap. Dragged him out of bed. Well, I guess what he's saying is, okay, when I took the stand, I didn't say anything about that because it would have implicated me in the robbery, which he's now admitting to. Kind of. Or the breaking and entering. He didn't say that he was going to steal anything, but he's like, I didn't intend to admit to anything, but now that you want to get me for murder, I will admit that I was there and broke into the place. Even though that incriminates me, but I'm doing so because I did see the murder, is what he's claiming.
Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I have said, she was showered in his blood.
You say the blood spattered over the accused's coat. Are you sure on that point?
Oh yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time.
Really? If her coat could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence? What? Conclusive evidence here. What? I don't know what to do. Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord. What? What, you got some science in that cup? Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. So here's to true science, not some amateurish detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry. This is the first wine interaction so far this stream. You're here just in time for it. Hi, Shub. There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound. Ideas are of no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. In Germany, the technique has already been employed in the courtroom as the basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used, with your lordship's permission. Oh, he was demonstrating how we're going to shatter doubt by shattering the it's a metaphor. Do you get it? It's a metaphor backed up by the wasting of alcohol. We could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes. This doesn't look good, Bruno. Why not?
Well, we know, don't we, that there's blood all over the front of Ginny's coat. If they test it with their chemicals... Oh, help! You're right! I was forgetting what happened yesterday. Don't move, Ginny, I'm going to shoot. All right. Did we not know who? But that's not Mr. Windibank's blood. That stain is from 2 months ago. That's Mr. Mason's blood from when he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. Right. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution.
Overruled. Lord Van Zieks, make it so at once.
With pleasure, my lord.
And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination.
Again! Again, we are in a hurry. Cross-examine first. Evidence can get here after we have finished and gotten the game over. Once they find the blood on that overcoat, Gina will be...
Counsel!
Yes, my lord.
Your cross-examination.
Of course, my lord. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or a really compelling clue now, then we'll just have to wait until the evidence gets here. I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Like, if we're claiming that it's McGilded's coat, then aren't we fine with saying, like, oh, yes, yeah, there was blood on it. It was his. I mean, it was Mason's. When his ruffians were jostling with the broken, I was still near the entrance to the shop. Hold it! Mr. Windibank emerged from the storeroom, I believe.
Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close.
I've never been so scared in all my life.
Yeah, we're just your regular mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence.
Says the pair who carry a gun? What do you think this is, America? What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop?
I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items.
Looking for the music box, of course. Right. Oh, yes, I know that. But we can still say, like, just because there's blood... Like, we can say... We can make the claim... Although I guess claims don't count for anything. We can make the claim that, yes, there's blood on the coat, but it wasn't from the murder. It was from the other murder. I do carry a sword. It's true.
The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1. So I assumed they could handle the situation. But I was wrong.
I was trying to help my little bruv, but the old geezer chucked me over the blue counter.
So I pulled my gun on the old fella. That soon made him scarper.
The pair of you setting upon the poor defenseless pawnbroker together, shame on you.
Sorry, Gov.
When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I shot him out.
Hold it! You mean that's the moment you were shot?
Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was at exactly that moment that it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot.
And the bullet went on to strike the calendar in the wall behind you.
So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later.
Did Mr. Windibank intend to shoot you, do you think?
Well, now, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home.
When I pulled my gun on him, he tried to shove me out of the way.
And then he scampered through that door out back.
At which point, what did you do? Pursued him out of shops on this road. Hold it! You mean you chased after him?
I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop.
And what about this peephole in the door you mentioned?
Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door is a solid job, made out of stout wood.
But there's a small opening in it about head height that lets you see what's in there from the outside. Couldn't you just stick your arm through there and unlock it from the other side? Kind of silly to have one that large and that close to the handle. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. Dun dun dun, anime eyes. Anime gun.
And what about you burgling brothers? Did you see what went on through this peephole as well?
Not likely, Gov.
Didn't see nothing of the sort, Gov.
I doubt these two buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence.
They testified earlier that they saw, that they were looking through the peephole and saw. So they at least knew that there was a peephole. So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Windibank take place.
Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there.
The defendant?
Yes, though neither of them noticed that I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man.
And then, what did you see next?
Now, she was wearing the coat at the time, I guess, so it's not that. Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand, but that was Mr. Windibank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you.
But no, it wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Windibank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the detective, but this was another gun entirely. A third gun.
The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time.
Objection! But no other gun was found at the scene.
Calm yourself, counsel.
Sorry?
You must consider the events in order.
Objection, her gun is a grenade launcher. True. It would leave an even bigger hole in his back.
At first, I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other. Then, all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back.
A chilling image, I must say.
I saw the blood spatter all over that wretched girl.
Hold it! All over her? I guess this doesn't quite make sense. If you, you would expect the eggs... I don't know if we're gonna go there, but you would expect that the exit wound is where the blood would come out. You could shoot somebody... Yeah, you would... Well, I don't know.
Yes, through the peephole I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains are invisible now, what with the coat being such a dark color.
Yeah, ballistics don't follow, but I don't know if that's the contradiction that we're going to raise.
But I assure you, that garment is sullied with the victim's blood.
Well, it is sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windibank's blood, is it? No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from when McGilded stabbed him 2 months ago. It's so annoying. If only they'd accept Hurley's chemical analysis, we could prove that. But they won't, so unfortunately we can't use it as evidence to support our case. Bother.
Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape.
Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the room?
That's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over.
Over where exactly?
In the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then the girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor on my side of the door.
But why on earth would she do such a thing?
I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there in case any more tragedies took place.
So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime.
Yes, it was yours truly.
Well, it's not an evidence because he didn't bring it to court with him.
I left the clear-up to my lackeys and left.
Clear up? We made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flutie had told us to tidy up.
He thinks he's on blooming mum sometimes.
Well, I was paying you enough, by God.
Only the prosecutor can find clues. Ugh. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? The hell?
You're like a bull at the gate, aren't you? But I admit to nothing of the sort. After all, you can't even show the court such a disc exists, can you?
As expected. He won't admit to anything unless I can thrust the evidence in his face.
It's not as easy as you thought, is it, to pin a crime on this lapel? It won't stick. Not murder, not treason.
Maybe not right now, but you won't be sniggering like that forever. What's your feeling, Runo? As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony at the moment. But you have to find a way to break this man. And quickly, too, because once they discover the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing... It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing the blood spatter over Jeannie's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen. But we know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank, so what's going on? All I know is it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist's test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's wasn't? I don't know, peer review, maybe? Detectives can use test tubes, too. You heard it here first. Using a test tube equals science, semicolon, or period. Never mind that. I have to find a really stark inconsistency in this testimony somewhere. And I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the blood's... I mean, that's gonna happen one way or another. Like, is Phoenix hoping to, like, end the trial before the coat can get here? And they're just like, well, alright, let's rule it not guilty, even though we haven't seen the coat that we know exists. So yeah, he's not denying that he broke some laws, but it's because he's trying to weasel his way out of murder and treason.
You little toe rag! Excuse me.
Gentlemen, set your grenade launchers to eradicate perjury. Something wrong, Sunshine? That should be my line. You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin.
Blimey, this D's a bit of a hooligan, ain't he?
What was going on just now?
You saw him. He grabbed me whistle. Why them blazes, he said. Didn't you mention the third gun when we had you down at the station?
I think I was originally in New Jersey, and somehow he took a bus to Australia, and now that's his accent. And why didn't you?
'Cause we didn't know nothing about it. Or the Come on. No, you're supposed to, yeah, I'm a gangster.
I was doing that. That was the original kind of voice, right?
We didn't know nothing about it. Or that flaming peephole in the door.
Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you?
God blimey. See the way he's looking at me? I'm telling you, this D gives me the willies.
Nash stole the fish and chips. He ate them. They go very well with a pear. It balances out the fructose. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He would normally grab someone. No, that wasn't like Gregsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. Oh, it was another case where I just had to press on everything and also make sure that I intervened in the side shenanigans. My lord, requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination.
Explain yourself, officer.
I have the results of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord.
Ah, the blood on the accused's overcoat.
It's the coat I lost.
Thank you, officer. Well, the cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel.
No, my lord.
Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector.
Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the result of spattering following a gunshot wound. That's strange. End of report.
Goodness me!
We would have expected a... Whoa! 720 no scope. See, what did I tell you? No, the blood on that coat is not Mr. Windibank's.
What on earth makes you say that, counsel?
The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windibank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton, so the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case.
Well, the dead cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nipponese friend?
Sorry?
2 months ago, in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for McGilded's innocence? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer?
Metaphorically, your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country. But that was...
My
call it a bally disgrace. Treachery, that's what it is.
How to determine whether the blood on that coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't help answer that problem, Pop-Out. It can't be done. But... We used Mr. Sholmes' specially form... Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist. Would you put such faith in a chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer?
I healed out Pirosky to starving boy, and he ran away crying. Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all.
Hey, Garrett. Alright, so we had the guy on the stand, Eggert Benedict, aka Ashley Milverton. We had pointed out, hey, Mason, the guy who was killed by McGilded in the omnibus, was your father. And then we were close. We were close to cornering him, and he's like, okay, actually, I admit that I was there in the shop and had hired these guys and went in there to rob it, or went in there to break in, but I did, because we were going to get him on, like, basically murder and treason, that he's been smuggling British secrets. Right, Faded's got it. He did a better job of summing up than me. He's like, fine, I admit that I was there, but I didn't shoot anybody, and I didn't steal any government secrets, and I saw her shoot him. And then they were like, oh, by the way, there's a German test that was just invented recently where you can, like, see if there's blood on something or not. And so they were testing the coat, and the results just came back that it does have blood spattered on it, and the blood is consistent with a gunshot, like, splatter trajectory or whatever. So Ashley is claiming, yes, I looked through the peephole and saw her there with a different gun. She shot him in the back and then threw the gun through the peephole, and I took it and ran away with it. But he's like, I witnessed her doing it. So was this? His name carries no weight in this courtroom. How could you say that?
Victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish.
How do you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accused's coat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid, and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth.
Arg! I have been KO'd. a bit. A little bit. He kind of made that claim. He's like, I would have mentioned this sooner, but, like, I have no choice but to mention it now so that I'm not I will self-incriminate myself as a burglar because, you know, it allows me to put forth evidence that proves that I'm not a treasoneer and a murderer.
My lord, been a long battle, this one, but this old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman, as of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men? All for one now. Sir!
Guilty.
Guilty.
That's abrupt.
Guilty.
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 Well, it would appear the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached a unanimous verdict.
Oh, he drank some.
The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony.
That's a good word. Unpick.
Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the jurors' decisions being equally successful.
Ooh-wog! He, I guess, poured it during the fireball spam. He was Hadoukening with one hand. He was making Hadoukens with one hand and pouring wine with the other. I don't believe it. After I've come so far, how is it all unraveling on me so fast? Susato? How very distressing. No. Sholmes? How very distressing to be held in such low esteem. Is it Sholmes dressed up as a cop? Is it? I forgot Sholmes' voice.
Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Officer, you've delivered the report now. That will be all, thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhodo, that scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind.
I know that voice. That's a famous voice actor, He-Ten style. Am I going mad? Ah! Mr. Sholmes!
What is the meaning of this?
Impersonating an officer of the law? That's not that serious. That's like a 1/100th of a perjury. So basically like a year, 2 years in jail tops.
Order!
What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard, you were recuperating in hospital.
As well I would be, had I not been set upon an errand.
What errand?
Hurley, it's really you. You're awake at last.
Yes, good day. Good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humor me. In what manner, sir?
He's doing his things, but he has a different hat on.
I have something of great importance I wish to give the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us the time? What say you to this, Lord Van Zeeks?
This trial has taken many hours of the court's time, having spent so long counting these hours.
Exactly. Haven't spent so long already, we don't want to go wasting any more precious time.
As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes.
Eh? Out the chips.
Very well then. Counsel, you have 5 minutes. My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival.
Mr. Sholmes, are you all right now?
All right, I'm all wrong.
Sorry?
I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me should I pass out.
Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots. None of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is.
Ah, well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me with my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community, an oversight on my part.
Right, modesty, surely not.
But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow.
What's that, a Pinku Bento? A lavender furoshiki wrapping? A leaving present from Miss Susato. From Miss Susato? If possible, matters were to be settled. If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. I don't understand. Miss Susato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhand, and that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are wont to do, would find yourself in considerable peril. At that very moment of crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. Those were the dear lady's instructions. A leaving present from Susato-san? Whatever could it be? What is this? And how do I load it? Oh, it's the machine I made. Ah. Okay, this was set up a super long time ago. She made a device that you could shoot a door with in order to make a cat door. Why do we need this? I use this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the Cat-Flapomat. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. I was hoping for something more useful. What's Susie up to? Susato muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant. What? Didn't she say something like that? You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes? That night, when you left Windibanks in pursuit of the thieves, Miss Susato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That is your answer, dear fellow. Oh, not at all cryptic then. Susato-san used this Cat-Flapomat that night, but why?
Your 5 minutes is over.
We're out of time already?
I'm grateful to you for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile.
I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me? I need to be careful here. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests... Oh, this is interesting. Okay, let's real quick. Cat-Flapomat, what's the deal? Explain your existence. Oh, that's horrifying. Phew, those vicious teeth look like they could rip through almost anything. They're good, aren't they? They're made of a special alloy I developed just for this job. The cutter rotates 10 times per second, so it can get through any door, any kind of door in no time at all. And what are the two parts at the top there? Ah, those are for attaching hinges to the section of the door that gets cut out. Right. Of course. Nothing can match this machine for power. It can make mincemeat of even the toughest doors. What is its power source, by the way? Does it run on gasoline? Batteries? How is it able to rotate such blades with such force and speed without being attached to an anything? It sounds so charming and friendly when you say what it's for, but it feels like the reality of the Cat-Flapomat is that it's a grim weapon of door destruction. Wagahai is so adorable, there's nothing I wouldn't do for him, even developing deadly weapons. What in the heck? I mean, I guess it... How does this help? Did she did something? She did something the night of, when we all ran there. She was like, I'm going to Cat-Flapomat their getaway car? No. I don't understand how this could possibly be related. So... I mean, if I say further cross-examination, he's just going to yell at me. He's going to be like, no, they already threw their fireballs. Now it's come to this, my only chance is to appeal to the jurors and try to change their minds. What do you think you're doing, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? What of Miss Susato's gracious gesture? Would you let this final piece of evidence she left you go to waste? Final piece of... This is not a time for inaction. Last time I checked, summary... I forget what it's called. Whatever it is, it's the opposite of inaction. I guess you could call it action. This is the time to hear from a witness. But it's not that possible for me to bring a new witness to the stand at this point. I don't think that's what Hurley means, Bruno. Have you forgotten where we are in the trial? No? If the defense has nothing more to add, I think we should proceed to the adjudication. Hold it! Wait, my lord, the defense requests further cross-examination.
Objection!
The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now.
The defense is not asking for the cross-examine of a new witness, rather to continue with one of an existing witness.
What?
It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. My lord, requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel. No, my lord. So nobody can say anything then. If Bruno asks to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, the court is obliged to allow it, even though I don't think that's how it works.
This is absurd.
I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness' testimony and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it. A single chance to present evidence? If, following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Hold on. I was right. There is no thing in the door there. But there is in that one. Okay. So he didn't have a peephole originally. All of this took place in between 1 and 1:30, and alright, I don't know, but I know what I'm doing. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witnesses any further.
My lord.
Yes, my lord. A single statement, a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's high time I fell into a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands. Thud. Mr. Sholmes! Dun 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 dun. Dun dun dun. To stand so insouciantly before the court in a state of such high fever, either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling.
I imagine he's feeling very little right now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers.
Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared? Yes! Falcon! Evidence! I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris. And I won't waste this final chance that Susato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well, then. Under the terms I've outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. Whoa! Music! So I'm not allowed to press on any of these, otherwise I get a game over. That's the rules in most Phoenix Wright games, whenever the judge gives that specific instruction. So I don't think I present this. I think I present the photo.
Objection.
What? What? Why am I losing health? Let's just consider the implications of that statement for a moment, shall we? Also, usually if you get something wrong on this question, it's also a game over. When you come down to the, what do you call it? Exactly, there's nothing striking about it. Oh. Boo! Is it that one? I mean, both of them say this. No, maybe. both of them mention the peephole. And I could submit either the peepholeless door or the peephole maker machine. Whoops.
Objection!
They should have allowed the picture. What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Counsel? Oh, it's my Cat-Flapomat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open.
I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves.
Ag!
But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case.
Oh, really?
Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door.
Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. Cats are so cute. Defense wins. I beg your pardon, a peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom.
This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake?
Yes. How could you? Falcon interrogation.
What?
Counsel, kindly say what you mean. Alright. It's time. Time to strike the final blow. Final blow number 2. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through. No!
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was...
Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device and then not telling me, and also I didn't hear the sound of 4 chainsaws going off somehow. Your assistant tampered with the crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions? That is a most serious act of vandalism. Easily 1/1000th of a perjury. For which I humbly apologize, my lord. Okay, not guilty. It was in the few minutes that I left this... Is that what happened? Okay. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Ah, get it? Get it?
Riddled with... Explain yourself, Counsel.
Well, you see, it's a pun because we were talking about making holes in things. It's not as funny if I explain the joke, Your Honor. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door.
Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in black, in the back.
However, if at the time of the incident that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way. There's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen.
Grr.
In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies.
Ugh.
Order! Order! Is there any credence in this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize.
Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me.
I'm afraid not, sir.
Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door?
Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors.
That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second.
I had a feeling you'd say that, and now I will shoot you.
What?
Waggy, cooey, time for dinner. Well? Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey.
I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom...
When did she have the opportunity to do that? Because we only had 5 minutes, and nobody left our bench. Nobody left, and she didn't have it before. She snuck over, sneak 100, and used 4 chainsaws on the courtroom door when no one was looking or listening or existed.
This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom door at Windibanks was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was.
No, but it's easy.
What?
The cat flaps my Cat-Flapomat creates are all of a fixed size, and the dimensions of the peephole at Windibanks are an exact match.
Ugh!
Hee hee, old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris, thank you.
And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your eastern island home.
Well, yes, that's true. It's not true. She's got me back.
Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the peephole has dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer.
Ugh! What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zeeks?
It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof.
Ugh!
And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation.
What? Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zeeks. Well, counsel? Don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. Get it? I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door of Windibank's storeroom was created after the event and not before. Here's a picture of before. Read it and weep.
Take that!